we'll get there eventually. So, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, Kenny. It's now time for my favourite part of any Burns supper. It's the toast to the lassies, and it gives me great pleasure to be delivering it to you tonight. Now, for anyone that doesn't know what a toast to the lassies actually is, the official BBC website about Burns suppers describes the toast to the lassies as follows. The humorous highlight of any Burns supper comes in this toast, which is designed to praise the role of women today. This should be done by selective quotation from Burns' work and should build towards a positive note. Particular reference to those present makes more of a meaningful toast. So we all a bit clearer now? Smashing. Neither am I, but I'm going to go for it anyway. So, Robert Burns and the Lassies. Personally, I love both. Well, to be honest, I don't really understand Burns' poetry, and I still don't. I didn't in school either. However, you don't need to be a Burns crony to know that Rabbie Burns had an eye for the ladies. Generally, that eye was in response to, here, poet boy, fancy a wee quickie. But this is proved in the fact that Robert Burns fathered at least 13 children through liaisons from no fewer than 5 women, some of which are Nellie Kilpatrick, known to us now as Handsome Nell, Peggy Thompson, whose memory now is preserved in his poem Now Westland Wins, Mary Campbell, or Highland Mary, Nancy Craig Mackelhouse, who inspired A Fond Kiss, Anna Park, who incidentally bore him 2 sets of twins before their wedding and was the inspiration for the poem A Wife's a Winsome Wee Thing. And that was all between 1785 and 1796, which isn't a bad shift. All done by 6 o'clock. 24-hour clock, get it now. So anyway, on doing my research about Burns, I actually came across this story, which I thought I'd share with you all tonight. Now, a lot of you might not know that Robert Burns and William Shakespeare were actually good pals. It was recorded that they were actually in a local tavern one night arguing on who was the better poet. The landlord got a wee bit pissed off with this and said, right, you're causing a fuss here. So he decided to settle the argument. So they decided to have a wee competition. So the bartender said, look, let's settle this. William, you go in that room. Rabbie, you go in that room. Both write a poem. Come back out in half an hour and I'll tell you who's the best poet. But the only condition is your poem has to end in the word Timbuktu. So the 2 rival poets go into their wee rooms. They wrote the best poems that they could and they came back out when they're finished. The landlord says, right, William, you go first. So William Shakespeare stood up and said, this is my poem. As I was walking across the sand, oh, what a day it was so grand. The sea was green, the sky was blue. I saw ships sail off to Timbuktu. The landlord was like, oh, that's beautiful. I can hardly see Rabbie beating that. And Rabbie was like, well, I'll give it a shot. So Rabbie stands up and says, this is my poem. Tim and I, off we went. We spied 5 maidens in a tent. Because they were 5 and we were 2. I bucked 3 and Tim bucked 2. Now, the more I researched, the more I looked into Burns, right, I actually realised and I came to the conclusion that myself and Burns were actually scarily alike. I mean, we're both Ayrshire men. We're both tall-ish. Dark, handsome, extremely talented. We love the ladies and the ladies love us. However, we do differ in one particular way. In the days of Robert Burns, the way of pulling girls, wooing them and that, just for all the older people, the way of pulling girls is entirely different than it is than they are now. In the day of Burns, what do? How do you impress a girl? You write them a poem. So, for example, one of his most famous poems that he wrote, My love is like a red, red rose. My love is like a red, red rose that's newly sprung in June. My love is like the melody that's sweetly played in tune. As far out thou, my bonny lass, so deep in love am I, and I will love thee still, my dear, as all the seas gang dry. Or one of his first ever poems that he wrote, which was his love letter to Nellie Kilpatrick. Once I loved a bonny lass, I love her still, and while thy virtue warms my breast, I'll love my handsome Nell. As bonny lasses I hae seen, and mony full as braw, but for modest graceful mien, the like I've never saw. But Nellie's looks are blithe and sweet, And what's best of all, her reputation is complete and fair without a flaw. They're two beautiful pieces of poetry, I think we'll agree. And let's be honest, ladies, if a guy wrote you a poem like that these days, he's all be weak at the knees. However, these days of pulling is not so poetic and romantic. Nowadays, our version of poetry is the chat-up line. Now, I have some of my favourites with me tonight. Now, you've heard tonight some of the romantic and poetic styles of Rabbie Burns. It's time to sit back and relax. And ladies, try to contain yourselves as you listen to the romantic and charming styles of Shagger McVittie. Did it hurt when you fell for heaven? Was your father a thief because he stole the stars from the sky and put them in your eyes? Are your legs tired because you've been running through my mind all day? Here, feel that? Do you know what that is? Feel that? Do you know what that material is? It's boyfriend material. You remind me of a spanner, because every time I look at you, my nuts tighten. Let's play Barbie. I'll be Ken, and you can be the box I come in. And my personal favourite. Have you got pet insurance? Because your pussy's getting destroyed tonight. Now lads, let's get to the main subject of my speech. The Lassies. Now, I know I haven't had as much experience of the female species as Kenny here. But I have learned a few things over the years. Now, I split up with my last girlfriend about a year ago. And we were together for about 3 years. She did my head in. She was a pain in the arse. Do you know what? I didn't even know what her problem was, right? She was always shouting and going on at me. And do you know, one of her biggest fights was, of course, my fault, obviously. She asked me, "What's in the TV?" I said, "Dust." One of the other fights we had, right, is when I actually... One of her other biggest fights is when she found out I replaced her bed with a trampoline. She hit the roof! Do you know, one night I came home early and I was greeted at her by the door and she was wearing this really sexy lingerie. She was like, "Tie me up and you can do anything you want." So I tied her up and went to the pub. Do you know, she used to say to me, "Do you know what? You only ever want sex when you're drunk." I said, "That's not true. Sometimes I want a kebab." Do you know, the police came to one night. The police came to my door one night holding a picture of her. She went, "Is this your girlfriend, sir?" I was like, "Yeah, it is." She goes, "I'm afraid it looks like she's been hit by a bus." I said, "I know, but she's got a lovely personality." So we're watching Who Wants to Be a Millionaire one night, and I turned to her and was like, "Do you want to have sex?" She was like, "No." So I was like, "Is that your final answer?" She's like, "Yes." I went, "Can I phone your friend?" Do you know something? At one point we never spoke for 6 months, 18 months even. I didn't want to interrupt her. One time, right, we were standing, she was standing naked, looking in the bedroom mirror, right? She wasn't happy with what she sees. She was raging at what she was looking at back there, right? She was like, "I feel horrible. I look old, fat and ugly. So I really need you to pay me a compliment." It's like, "Your eyesight's damn near perfect." Right, for all you guys out there that don't know, hello you. Oh no.
Replay.
For all of you that don't know, I, Calum McVittie, am on Tinder. Now, I'm not ashamed to admit it. I enjoy Tinder. For all of you people who don't actually understand what Tinder is, I'll give you a wee explanation. It's an online dating app. The premise is that you upload a photo, which, by the way, my Tinder profile photo actually has you in it as well. I'm not even kidding. It's a picture of me and you at Lindsay's wedding. I will show you later. But that's not even a joke. That's genuine. Me and you. Obviously, they don't think it's you. They goes, who's the girl? All the time. Anyway, so the premise is you upload a photo to it. You write a wee bio about yourself, trying to impress the ladies. And then you go on other people's profile, and if you like what you see, you swipe right. And if you don't like what you see, you swipe left. And if you both swipe right, then you get to start chatting with each other. The thing is, I knew I had a problem when I was starting to swipe left on people's faces. But anyway, I've learned a lot about being on Tinder. What have you learned? I hear you ask.
What have you learned?
Thank you, Kenny. What I've learned is that women lie. They lie all the time. I mean, here's a few examples, right? On Tinder, online, if women say they're 30-ish, means they're 49. Adventurous, they'll sleep with all your mates. Athletic, no tits. Average looking, face like an arse. Beautiful, pathological liar. A contagious smile, does loads of pills. Emotionally secure, on medication. Feminist, body hair and no dress sense. Fun, annoying. Gentle, dull. New age, body hair problems. Old fashioned, no blowjobs. Open-minded, desperate. Outgoing, loud and embarrassing. Passionate, sloppy drunk. Poet, desperate. Cuddly, fat. Voluptuous, very fat. And once a soulmate, stalker. Right. Anyway, but look, lads, like, I'll tell you something. All this advice is great, right? But there's only one person that can tell you all you need to know about women. All you need to know, your dad. He knows everything. Mainly because he's been there, done that, and got the t-shirt for everything before you. Do you know, I'll always remember that when I was young and I first started doing theatre and I joined the Largs Players, my local drama group. I came home after my first audition and excitedly told my dad that I had a part in a play and that I'd be playing a man who'd been married for 25 years. My dad turned to me and said, "Never mind, son, maybe next year you'll get a speaking part." You know, I also remember I said to my dad, when I was really young, I said, "Dad, is it true what I hear in some parts of Africa? A man doesn't actually know his wife until he marries her." My dad was like, "That happens in every country, son." My dad also told me that there was 3 rings in marriage. An engagement ring, a wedding ring, and suffering. You know, my dad never usually understood why it was called PMS. I think it's because mad cow disease was already taken. My dad once told me that behind every great man is a woman rolling her eyes. He also once told me that a woman needs 4 animals in her life. A mink on her back, a jaguar in the garage, a tiger in the bed, and a jackass to pay for it all. I was actually reading an article in the Metro the other day, and apparently there's a study found that women who carry a little extra weight live longer than the men who mention it. And also apparently, during labour, the pain is so great that women can almost imagine what it feels like when a man's got a cold. I'll tell you something I can't get in my head, right? I can never understand why women can take boiling hot wax, pour it over their upper thigh, rip it off by the roots, and still be afraid of a spider. I'll never understand why women tell us guys, "Oh, do you know, it's not the looks that counts, it's the sense of humour in a guy that's important." Pish! Sorry. You don't see women trampling over Zac Efron and Johnny Depp to get to Chesney for Corrie, do you? No, you don't. And ladies, let me tell you something. I'll tell you something that really pisses us off, right? Go on and just tell us what you want us to wear before we get dressed. And thus having the conversation, which I think you had earlier on, is, "You're not wearing that, are you?" And remember, ladies, it takes us less than 10 minutes to get dressed no matter what the occasion. Oh, and Don't ask us if we prefer one outfit over the other, or if a certain accessory goes with the other outfit or not, because we all know this is a no-win situation, and we would just rather sit by the telly and watch it till you're ready, right? Now, there's a wee thing here. I came across a wee article, right, that made a lot of sense to me, and probably the guys in this room will also agree with me. Ladies, if you want to get a bit of paper, note this down. It's actually some sensible advice to womenfolk preparing for their husband's return from work from the 13th of May 1955 issue of Housekeeping Monthly. Now, if you don't believe me, Google this, because this is a genuine thing, right? So, ladies, take note.
Very good book.
Here we go. Should be treated as a Bible. Take 15 minutes to rest so you'll be fresh when he arrives. Touch up your makeup, put a ribbon in your hair and be fresh looking. Be a little gay and a little more interesting for him. His boring day may need a lift and one of your duties is to provide it. At the time of his arrival, eliminate all noise of the washer, dryer or vacuum. Try to encourage the children to be quiet. Listen to him. You may have a dozen important things to tell him, but the moment of his arrival is not the time. Let him talk first. Remember, his topics of conversation are more important than yours. Make the evening his. Never complain if he comes home late or goes out to dinner or other places of entertainment without you. Instead, try to be understanding of his world of strain and pressure. Arrange his cushion and offer to take off his shoes. Speak in a low, soothing, pleasant voice. Don't ask him questions about his actions. Remember, he is the master of the house, and as such will always exercise his right with fairness and truthfulness. You have no right to question him. I actually wasn't going to mention this, but I was going to mention it, but she came back in the room and she was away. But I actually heard a wee conversation earlier on at Lindsay and Mike on the phone. They were having a wee conversation that I thought I'd share with you all. She had it on loudspeaker, so that's how I heard it. So Mike was trying to prove that Lindsay actually talks more than he does. So he told her about this study that he was reading on the internet that apparently said that men use about 10,000 words per day, whereas women use about 20,000 words per day. Lindsay thought about it for a while and she was thinking. She then told Mike, look, women use twice as many words as men because they have to repeat everything they say. So there's a bit of a pause. Mike says, what? Also, Lindsay doesn't know I overheard this conversation, but I actually heard more of the conversation, and Lindsay said to Mike, oh, I wish I had bigger boobs. Mike says, oh, why don't you rub toilet paper on them? Lindsay's like, toilet paper? What the hell will that do? He goes, I don't know, but look what it's done for your arse. I was in the kitchen earlier on and asked Kenny if he was wanting another drink. He's like, oh, just a beer. I was like, what's wrong, Kenny? You seem a wee bit down. He's like, oh, Moira and I get into a fight and she said she wouldn't talk to me for a month. I was like, what's wrong with that? He's like, well, the month's up the night. I was also asking Kenny what the secret. I was also asking Kenny what the secret to making a marriage last was. What's your secret, Kenny? He goes like, well, see, the thing is, twice a week, Moira and I go to a nice restaurant, have a little wine and some good food. She goes on Tuesdays and I go on Fridays. I also heard Kenny say, and it was in earlier on, and I heard Kenny say, Moira, will you love me when I'm old, fat and balding? Moira looked at him in the eyes and went, I already do. Look, ladies and gentlemen, I know I've done a wee bit of slagging tonight, right? And maybe tonight, us lads should maybe take a wee lesson for Robbie Burns. Burns couldn't have attained such status, such he had long enjoyed, had it not been for the fact that he was surrounded by remarkable women. And aren't we all? Now, Burns' love for the lassies is best summarised in this excerpt from Green Grow their Ashes. Old nature swears the lovely dears, her noblest work she classes, her presence haunts he tries on man, and then she made the lassies. Now, before I go, as it's Burns night, I thought how better to end my speech than in rhyme. So I wrote you a wee poem, and I'm going to share with it. When God made man, he made her out of string. He had a little left, so he left a little thing. When God made woman, he made her out of lace. He didn't have enough, so he left a little space. Kidding on, it's not my poem. That's not quite funny. So that's not my poem. Kidding on, I just quite like that. Right, this is my poem. Never have I seen a more beautiful sight than all of the lassies sitting here tonight. We are thrilled to have this wonderful meal, especially when the lassies get dressed up as part of the deal. Your beauty and style is second to none, and we hope your dresses will soon be undone. We have showered and shaved and cleaned up quite right, in the hopes you will find us a tasty sight. We know you like us in our kilts and fair. You will have to ponder what we're wearing under there. To be worthy of your beauty is our goal. Around you we need a lot of self-control. Your sisters, daughters, wives and mothers, we are thrilled to have you as our lovers. So men, stand with me and lift your glasses as we toast to our beautiful Bonnie Lassies.
Cheers!